One of the biggest shocks people experience when trying Linux is assuming that it works exactly like Windows or Mac OS with just a different logo. Well, it doesn't. And that misunderstanding causes more frustration than almost anything else when someone first tries Linux. I saw this firsthand back in 2006 when I was working for Apple. Windows users looking to switch to Mac had that same idea, that Mac was the same as Windows, just a different logo. When they saw the Mac for the first time, they became disoriented. Things were different. Menus were in different places. The workflow wasn't what they were used to. But at least there was a version of Microsoft Office for Mac. When it comes to Linux, that safety net doesn't exist. There is no Microsoft Office for Linux. There is no Microsoft Office that runs natively on Linux. Nothing called Microsoft Word, Excel, or PowerPoint that you download and install like you did on Windows or Mac. Yes, you can use Microsoft Office online through a web browser. That option exists. But I don't think those web apps are a direct replacement for the full desktop suite that you download. They're fine in a pinch, but they're not the same experience. Some people try to force Microsoft Office to work on Linux, using workarounds and compatibility layers. In my experience, the results are usually disappointing. You end up with a fragile, half-working version of Office that breaks at the worst possible times. And that's not a great foundation to build your workflow on. But the better approach is to try the alternatives first. Instead of trying to bend Linux into behaving like Windows, I recommend a different approach. If you're still on Windows or Mac OS, download the free Linux alternatives now and test them there. Most of the major Linux applications are also available for Windows and Mac, and that gives you a chance to see firsthand how they work, how they feel, and whether they're going to meet your needs without committing to completely making the switch over to Linux. That way, when you do move over to Linux, you're not guessing. You already know what tools you're going to be using. Office suites on Linux. While there are many different Office suites for you to choose from when you make the switch to Linux, let me introduce you to two Office suites that work across all the platforms, the LibreOffice and OnlyOffice. Now, LibreOffice is my go-to Office suite. I use it exclusively. It includes a full set of tools, a word processor called Write, a spreadsheet app called Calc, a presentation maker app called Impress, a drawing tool app called Draw, an equation editor called Math, and even a database application called Base that will look familiar to you if you've ever used Microsoft Access. What really sold me on LibreOffice is its commitment to preventing document lockout. If you create something important, you should always be able to open it no matter what happens to the company that made the software. And that matters more than most people realize. LibreOffice is free and open source and available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. You can download it today and see if it's going to work in your workflow. And OnlyOffice is another strong option, especially for people coming from Microsoft Office. Its interface feels very familiar to them, and for some users it makes the transition easier. It handles documents, spreadsheets, presentations, PDFs, and forms, and it's gotten so significantly better over the years. Like LibreOffice, OnlyOffice is available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, and it's free to try. So yes, people in Linux do word processing and spreadsheets. We just might do it with some different tools. There is no Adobe Creative Suite. Just like Microsoft Office, there's no native Photoshop, Illustrator, or InDesign on Linux. But again, the work gets done. GIMP fills the Photoshop role. It's been around for a very long time. And while I can't say that it's a one-to-one replacement, it's more than capable for photo editing, image creation, and export. If the end result is a finished image, GIMP will be able to get you there. And Inkscape handles vector graphics and fills the Illustrator role. It's powerful, mature, and capable of producing professional quality artwork. Scribus handles page layout and publishing, similar to InDesign. And when it comes to video editing, Linux is very well covered. Titles like Shotcut and Kdenlive are excellent for web content, and DaVinci Resolve is available on Linux if you're working at a higher production level. I personally use Kdenlive to edit the videos for this channel. And all of these applications mentioned above are available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. And none of them require a monthly subscription or require you to pay a cancellation fee to stop using the software. Specialized software. There's no AutoCAD on Linux, but we have FreeCAD. And I won't pretend that they're identical, but for many years FreeCAD can produce the same output files and meet real-world needs. Like everything else on Linux, the key is testing it for yourself. There's no Quicken or QuickBooks either, but Linux users still manage their finances. HomeBank is a solid option for personal finance, and GNU Cash is a long-standing solution for double-entry accounting. Both are free and available across all the platforms. Again, the pattern repeats. Different tools, same goals. Let's talk about web browsers. Don't worry about them because you're covered. If you're wondering about web browsers, don't. Firefox is the default on most Linux distributions, but as we found out before, if we don't like it, we can replace it. And Linux has Chrome, Edge, Brave, and Vivaldi. All of them are available. So are the privacy-focused browsers like LibreWolf and the Tor browser. We've even got lightweight browsers for older hardware. Basically, if it runs on the web, Linux can handle it. But a quick word about app formats. Linux doesn't have a single universal app store or packaging system. That can feel confusing at first. You'll hear about traditional repositories, Flatpak, Snap, app images, and things like the Arch user repository. The important thing to know is this: you don't have to understand all of it right away. Most modern Linux distributions make software installation straightforward. You search, click install, and move on. The flexibility is there if you want it, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. The big picture is this: yes, some of the proprietary software that you're used to isn't available on Linux. That part is true. But what is also true is that Linux offers capable, mature, professional tools for almost everything people do on their computers. And many of those tools are already available for you today to test on Windows and Mac OS. And they're also ready for you on Linux when you're making the switch. Linux isn't about giving things up. It's about learning something new. It's about choosing different tools and gaining freedom, control, and longevity in the process. If you're curious, then why not explore? You literally have nothing to lose but your time. Download a few of the Linux alternatives mentioned above and test them out to the level that you're at now. and it might take some time to get used to these new titles, but I hope you experience what I experienced when I made the switch. My experience was that I could get on with this Linux software, and I was pleasantly surprised just how easy it was for me to start using them. I had no problems. And if you decide to switch to Linux later, you won't be starting over. You'll already be ready. I really hope you've enjoyed my video, and if you have an experience with Linux software that you'd like to share, please tell us about it in the comments. I sincerely hope that this video has earned your like and possibly your subscription. But until next time, take care.